Hey, welcome back everybody to the Rebuild Wrench. My name's Rick, if you haven't been here before. Today what we're going to do is take this paper template, which I made up last evening. Took me about an hour or so to make up the template. And then we'll take this template, turn it into a piece of metal, and weld it into the frame. This will be our shelf underneath the seat, which will hold the battery, electronics. I'll make another little piece of sheet metal that goes under here, but it's just flat. It's just a flat piece that goes in here, slight bend to it, trimmed around the frame, tacked along the bottom. You won't see that. But then we can bring wiring up from the engine, from the front end, in through here. It'll sit in the tray. I can attach it down through these two access holes, past the battery, and to our electronics. Taillight on the back. So that's what we're doing today, is this template and build the metal and weld it in. So if you're interested, stick around. That's our approximate elevation change from the bottom to the top. This is angled up just ever so slightly, but that's okay. When we bend this all up, I'll make this, tweak it and make it fit, and then we can weld our pan in there once it's made. I just needed to get something I can relate to when I trace our template out onto the sheet metal, cut it, shape it, and then start to form it. There's got to be a sequence. Because I don't have a compound way of doing this, we're going to bend these two, then we're going to slowly bend these edges up on the edge of the bench. I'll show you doing that until we get to the final shape. And then this will be welded in. This tab will sit underneath the back of the hoop, weld it in, and then we're done. Then we can get on with this bike, get on with building the seat and move along. The best way I found to do this is I tape my paper template once I've made it. I tape it down to the sheet. Just makes it a little easier to trace around it. Okay, our little paper template's taped down good enough here. I'll go around and scribe the outside edge with a scribe. Then on these areas here where I'm going to cut to and make bends, we'll drill a small 1/8 hole. Drill a 1/8 hole in these corners. It relieves it a little bit when you cut into the corner, and doesn't tend to want to split your metal when you bend it. So we just drill those and then we cut the whole thing. Okay, now I'm going to go around and center punch where I want to drill my 1/8 holes. Little stress relieves in the corners where the bends are going to be. I've got air, so I like to use the air drills and air tools. Okay, now I can take it over to the dark side and rough cut it on the bandsaw. My template was built with the line right where the radius, the outside edge of the radius had to be. So I set these lines, my scribe lines for bending, I set them in the thickness of our 18 gauge metal plus a little bit, just to, once it's bent, it still has to fit within the constraints of this distance. So you've got to set those bend lines in just a little bit so when it bends it's in the right place. Of course this just gets welded under the rear part of the hoop. First I have to bend the joggle in this, the step up. I'll show you what that, if I use this as an example, I found that this is the distance I need. This is our step down for the joggle that I have to bend in here. And this has to be bent first, and then we'll work around the edges, clamping it to the edge of the bench and bending our flanges up. And these two I'll bend in the brake, and then I'll bend the rest just with angle, clamps, and the edge of the bench. Make sure they're nice and tight. Gives us our step up from here up into this area. Really good, and like I said, we can adjust this a little bit later. Once we bend these other flanges, we can flatten this if we need to, or compress it a little bit as required. So step one of the bending process complete. And that's exactly what we've got there. Okay, now the rest of these have to go in sequence as well, so I can work around the sheet properly. And I've numbered them. This one has to go first, second, third. No, upside down. First, second, third, fourth. And on this side it has to go first, second, third. And this one at the very end is the last one to do. I don't have a box break, so this is how we're going to do it. Just it's not that tough. Some angle, some clamps, and then some saw face hammer, and we got it going. As you can see, I've got it clamped in here. I'm just using the bench as a backer, and then I'll bend up to my angle. It's just going to come up 90 degrees for now. Then once we get it in place, we can tap it out to the edges of our hoop, and then tack it down, weld it down. So let's give it a little shape. And that's as easy as it gets. First one of the flanges bent up. You can get a fairly complex piece of metal out of a flat piece with the proper sequencing and just some simple paper templates can get you a long way. Stand by. As luck would have it, I had this old piece of scrap in my cuttings bin, and it fits right in here nicely. We'll just clamp this in here, and we'll use this one. So with minimal effort, we have quite a complex pan shape built. That'll sit in the frame. We'll do a final tune on this angle to get this sorted out right. These tabs will be welded into the frame, and then where this sits underneath our new rear hoop, I'll weld it in around the bottom in here. So that's what you get. And this has taken about a couple of hours to get this thing all done. So not a lot of time. Very simple tools. Anybody can do it. So there's the raw fit. That's just straight off the bench onto the bike. Fits pretty nicely. These areas here, you can see this gap here. That's what I'm talking about. We'll just tap that back to the edge. This has to be trimmed a tiny bit in my angling here. Tap this back. This piece here, same thing. Just tap it back to the appropriate angle. I forgot that this was on a 30-degree slope here. I didn't need to go up that high with it. Just tap that back, and right along here, just tap it in along the edge, and I can weld that pan in. And then, like I said, we can put our battery. It's deep enough from here to where the seat's going to be that our battery can sit right in here, and then the other electronics can sit in here. Well, that about wraps it up, guys. Thanks very much for hanging out with me today. Seat pan went in real nice. It's all welded in. It's fixed. I've got a couple of the original bolt holes. I can use those for grounds. My battery will fit right here. I've got space for my electronics. As I said earlier, I'll put a piece of sheet in here so I can run the wiring up inside so you won't see it, in through these two access holes, and hook everything up. And next is the base for the seat, the structure for the bottom of the seat, so then I can upholster it and make my seat the way I want it. And once I get this section done, then I can get on with the rest of the build. So that'll be the next couple of days, and I'll get that done, get some video out as soon as I can. Thanks very much for hanging out. If you like what you saw today, please subscribe, and give me a like, or even comments. Give me some comments. Looks like crap, looks good, whatever. I like the feedback. So anyways, thanks very much for hanging out, and see you around.